Oh, no, it just changed the button. Okay, that's interesting. Hi, I'm Raymond, and you're listening to Insert Quest here. Today we're going to be doing the first session of my, or our, Apocalypse World game. This is called Reclaimed Earth or Verdant Mountains. It's unclear as of yet which one it will be. Um, our players for this campaign are going to be Ryan. Ryan, introduce your. Ah, no, never mind. Ryan, Brandon, and Alex. And we'll introduce characters in a minute. Ryan and Alex are from Ragnarok, which is
Hello.
another actual play podcast, so you can check their stuff out.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
and
homeless.
and Brandon's without a podcast. He's just one of our stragglers that we use as we need to.
We let
A
him.
podcast Ronan.
We let him participate out of pity.
Yeah, he's a podcast Ronin. That's a way better title.
That's true.
You should put that on your Google Plus account, podcast Ronin, as
Oh,
as uh,
yes.
as occupation.
Too heavy.
The soul of a podcast Ronin is in his dice. They are an extension of his will. Yeah, so the Reclaimed Earth is an Apocalypse World game. If you're not familiar with Apocalypse World, it's a post-apocalyptic game. Normally set well after the apocalypse is over. So, maybe a handful of people in your game will remember what the world was like before, if any. God damn those dogs, those fucking dogs. Um, 1 second.
Those dogs, though.
How about you guys introduce your characters, starting with Ryan, while I tell these dogs to fuck off?
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Ryan. I am going to be playing Saffron. Saffron is a Maestro D. He is transgressing. He wears vintage wear. He has a porcelain face, mischievous eyes, a curvy body, and precise hands.
Precise hand.
Precise hands. He's very directed with his movements. Saffron is a man in a semi-formal sport coat, with a red semi-formal sport coat with a black bow tie and pocket square, a Homburg hat, and he wears a porcelain tragedy mask. He's kind of heavy set, but that's only because he looks like he's kind of heavy set, but that's because he's wearing a Kevlar vest under his suit. And he runs. I have not yet given it a name, but it is a theater bordello, where the quote-unquote cast perform his erotic plays that he writes, and then they go out into the audience and have liaisons with the theater patrons in character. So you get to the conceit of it is that you get to see the show and then have sex with the characters. Yes.
Do you want to go classy or uncouth for your name?
I was thinking classy. There was a theater group. There was a theater group that Chuck was a part of at Princeton called Theater On Team, and I'm thinking that that's what my theater is going to be named.
Because I was thinking you'd just call it the Fuck Shack. That's
Definitely not.
Yeah,
It's if I'm remembering the character sheet correctly, isn't it the kind of place where it's like invite only, or you have to be on the list?
It's very exclusive. That's how we keep the rabble out. You have to receive an invitation to see one of Saffron's plays.
Oh yeah, you don't want any dammers in your club, is that it? You classist pig.
Well, Oh, and also I should mention that there are knives hidden everywhere around the stage, the set, and in the auditorium, just in case the clientele get out of hand. So, my cast and crew functions as a gang.
Yes, indeed. So, Ryan, we sent you a little thing in the chat, just by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so Brandon, how about you tell us about your character if you haven't already, because I was shooing dogs out of the room.
Oh, okay. I am portraying Ozer. They,
I,
she, he,
I thought it was
whatever.
pronounced Ozar.
Ozer.
Ozer, there you go.
Um, Ambiguously gendered person, whatever pronoun you call them. They'll just shrug and continue doing what they're doing. Um, she wears a old military coat that has like electronic garbage on it that she believes does something. I don't know, does something. Um, he's very beautiful, kind of pretty faced. There's a look in his eyes. They're kind of an appraising set of eyes, looking at a piece of equipment or whatever, and very slim. If you want an idea of what Ozair looks like, you can look up the model Erica Linder, um, and that is pretty much Ozair to a T.
I
The
fully
savvy type.
recommend looking up. What was her name again?
Erica Linder.
Yeah, she's very attractive. I'm into it. I'm all about it.
She
Uh,
has a workspace. Yeah, we'll get into that
okay.
later.
so you've got a bunch of electronic garbage on your chest, like that dude from Back to the Future Part 2, or the dude that's all about Sonics in Beyond Thunderdome, who's got the
Sonic the Hedgehogs? No.
he's got the vinyl record on the stick and he spins it. He's like, it's just so crazy. The children in that movie.
Just garbage. Just like, this is a motherboard. Look, it's on my arm now. Cool, great.
I hack the trees, Brandon. Hack the trees.
I have some kind of eyepiece over my eye that I think does something, but doesn't actually do anything.
Does it scan the power levels of your enemies?
That's right. It tells me there are over 9,000, Alex.
It's just a broken Google Glass.
Oh, I love it.
So it's a regular Google Glass?
It keeps showing you a map, but you don't recognize any of the locations on it.
McDonald's. What is this?
You are 6 hours late for work. And 2,000 kilometers away. Alright. Alex, how about you
All
tell
right.
us about where is my mouth so I can change the camera? There we go.
Yes. I am playing Ayazama, the water bearer. He is a man. He has with ornate wear a strong face, watchful eyes, and a mended body. So he wears a gold toga and sandals all the time. That's his shtick. And he has an ornamental chain that's sort of made out of some rusted chain that he found that's got little vials of water from the source hanging off of it, so it kind of clanks around when he walks. His body is mended. He's covered in lots of scars from different tussles because he has been a frequent user of the source. And just so everyone knows, the source itself, it has healing properties, so it is a source of water. The source itself has fragrant water, pipes and plumbing, and bright stainless steel and glass that empties into. So basically, it's a room off the dam that, for some reason, the water can cure wounds. And so there are large tanks that are part steel, part glass, and they have lots of pipes that empties into a platinum basin, which is where they conduct all their rituals, which is the last feature of the source is faith and ritual. So there's almost a religious significance. So Ayazama is sort of like a priest in this place. He has people with him, and there are 4 laws that everyone must be aware of when they are entering the source. 1, you must surrender your firearms. If you don't, you will be exiled from the source. You have to leave your grudges outside. If you don't and you start a fight with someone, you have to fight to the death. You do not touch what is yours. If you do and you try to steal something, you get your fingers chopped off. And you can do no violence or intentional harm. And if you do, you will be executed. So
wait,
don't.
if you start a fight with someone, you have to finish it. But if you do
Yes.
violence, then you'll be executed. So you have to finish the fight, and then they'll kill you.
That's a pretty good incentive to not start a fight, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. Or to kill everyone in the room.
Well, yeah, but that's what I've got my guardian for. So.
Yeah, good point.
Although no one has guns except Ayazama. He's packing a piece.
Yeah, your community does have firearms, but not in great supply. You actually have, however, a large quantity of bows, crossbows, spear guns, and javelins.
Would you like me to change my weapon from 9mm to crossbow then?
No, that's fine. You can keep guns.
Okay.
Like Brandon has a Magnum. Your community has guns. They're just not in large supplies. Gotcha. The Mountaineers, for example, have shit tons of guns.
I wonder why.
Because they're insane survivalists who are obsessed with the past. So I do have a few questions before we get a bit further, and then we'll do history in a minute as well. Your source, Alex. Do you and you and the people that attend the source, do you believe that its properties come from the way in which it is stored and treated in those tanks, or is it some interplay with the regenerative properties of the Verdant itself, the Verdant being the forest that surrounds the planet?
It's probably something more to do with the Verdant. Since we're in a big mountain area, it's probably some sort of catch basin from runoff. So the water travels like through a whole bunch of the Verdant and through soil and through tree roots and everything before it eventually gets to the big stainless steel and glass basins, which is kind of why it has a fragrant, like floral-ish smell to it.
It's got oaky undertones.
Yes.
Is it water or is it whiskey?
Why not both?
Okay. So, I did ask you guys about the size of your community before, and we didn't really answer that question. So, how large is your community? It is split. The guys have decided that they live on a dam lake. Some of them live in the dam wall, and others live on a barge or boats that float in the lake. How many of you are there, basically, is what I'm thinking. Probably don't want to go over 200.
No. I kind of picture more people living on the boats than in the dam.
Yeah.
So figure maybe 20 or 30 in the dam and 60 or 80 on the boats and the barge.
Alright, so there's about 100 to 80 people in the community, give or take, depending on the year and how many people have had children.
Yeah.
Cool.
That sounds good to you guys?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Fine with me.
I just might mention the way that the community is laid out. I mentioned before that it's split between these two groups in a way. You've got the people on the dam and the people on the lake. And in order to... Those communities need each other. They're effectively one whole. But in order to bridge them together, the leaders of those communities, the cons, from the word consul, there's always two people that rule. One has to be from the dam, and the other has to be from the boats, the barge, the lake, the MERS. And they are married. They don't have to be husband and wife, but they do have to be connected. Now, at the moment, the two rulers or leaders are Holland and Pacifica. Holland is Con of the Dam, and Pacifica is Con of the Lake. They've been married for 6 years, and they've been your community leaders for the last 4. Are they man and man, woman and woman, woman and other? What's their gender split?
Kind of intrigued by woman and other, but
Woman and other?
What if I mean Pacifica sounds like a female name, so what if Pacifica's a
Doesn't
woman
have
and
to be,
Holland?
though.
That's true, but I'm just thinking because Holland is from the dam, he or she or whomever like works down inside, so they just always have a mask and coveralls, so no one has ever like actually seen their face or their body. They're just always covered because they're always working like down where there's like asbestos and other crap.
Only Pacifica truly knows.
Yes, Pacifica knows.
All right, cool.
She is
And we'll talk about more about their relationship and stuff later. Specifically, I haven't given them any character traits yet. Like, I have no idea what their mood is like. I wanted to leave that up to you guys, like how they acted. Okay, so I think we should probably do our history now, and we are using some of the 2nd edition stuff, so I'm not 100% sure how that works, but that's why we've got Brandon in our campaign. So,
Well, it pretty much works the same way that the old version does. You list the other characters' names, you go around, introduce, we already did that, and on your turn, there are some questions you can ask people, and if you don't like either of those questions, you can just give them the bog standard answer, which is something, which is different for everyone. Which is much easier than the 1st edition, which is overly complicated and ridiculous.
all right. I guess I will begin then. Just to remind everyone, my character's name is Saffron. Which of you do I find most attractive?
I don't know. Which way does Saffron swing?
Saffron's flexible.
oh, I bet Saffron's flexible.
Hey yo. Well, Ozair has a hot of 0, so probably not. Oh, you're Ozair. I'm Ayazama. Wow, it's been a long day. I'm sorry. Ayazama has a hot of 0, so maybe not him.
Well, let me give you a secret. Ozair has a hot of -1.
Ooh.
Personal relationships?
Ayazama does know how to fill out a token.
Okay, so I'll go with Ayazama then. If we're going strictly by the stats, how do you spell that?
Ayazama.
Okay.
Although Ozair is based off a model.
Yeah, Ozair has a pretty face.
But it's always dirty.
It's never dirty. She's a mechanic, but somehow never dirty. Some kind of magic.
I think we've all run into that asexual person that's really hot and is therefore completely unobtainable.
It could
All
be
right.
that of the two. I mean, you don't have to use that question either as well.
Yeah, you can
All right.
choose not to answer it.
Um,
Because my headset was having a spaz, is it only Ryan that has asked one so far?
So far, yeah.
yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you gonna
We'll
do?
him.
Is that your only question? Are you gonna do others, Ryan?
That's my only question. Everybody else gets the base Hicks.
What is that for you?
History. Well, if I'm if I'm interpreting this correctly, you control your own history. So, like,
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
writing
okay.
stuff down for me instead of the way it worked in first edition, which was
Where
just
you told them.
horrifyingly confusing.
Right. Okay.
It's my favorite thing ever. Now, are you getting who's giving and who's receiving? No one knows. It's a mystery. Something's happening, and there's magic.
Numbers are sliding across the table. All right, who wants to go next? Who's got a question?
I've got a question. Which one of you once gave me water in the wilderness, real or metaphoric?
How does one metaphorically give water?
What is your source again? Is it some kind of like what's the properties of it? Is it like a water purifier?
No, it is a catch basin, like sort of on. It's at where the dam meets the forest, I guess. Does it just go straight into
Okay.
the mountains? So around there's a concrete bunker-ish thing with a catch basin. So it has like big stainless steel and glass pipes that empty into a basin made of platinum, though no one really knows what it is. It's just really shiny.
Shiny. Well,
Shiny.
hmm,
I guess metaphorically giving me water in the wilderness would be doing something that saved me.
Well, what if one day when you were despairing, you got an invitation to the theater, and you saw a performance that gave you a new, appreciation for life,
Sure.
and then you had some
Joe, I'm
great
gonna
sex
join the
afterwards.
Waterkeepers right after this going.
All right. Thank you, Saffron.
Talk about giving you water.
Hey yo.
is that it on your end?
Well, do either of you, or I guess this would just be for Rosaire now, do you like me serve the source?
No.
Okay.
Oh, didn't you say one of your projects was to get the Hydro down? I guess that doesn't really serve the
Yeah,
source.
it's sort of like a different
Yeah.
thing.
Yes. All right. So, got some sweet questions here. Let's see. So my two questions I can ask: which one of you, or which of you, is the most strange, and one of you is the biggest potential problem?
I would probably say that Saffron is the most strange. But then again, I run a cult based around a tank of water. So
Interesting. I think, based on what this says, it says for those characters, write HX plus 1. So I think for this specific question, I can choose more than one person.
We're both
I think I
pretty
find
strange.
yeah,
I think I find both of you rather strange. So that would be
that's
HX
fair.
plus 1. SA plus 1, and can I spell? No, I can't. Plus 1. Done. Done with history.
Yep.
Wonderful, we are done with history. I guess we should do beginning of session moves.
Or highlighting
we-
stats.
Yeah, we should highlight.
Highlighting stats.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good point.
So the game. Oh, I was going to call you the GM. The MC picks one, and then the person on your sheet with the highest hits with you picks one.
All right.
I should say
Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
does it go in that order or should it go in the other order? I don't think it really matters.
Doesn't matter.
No, I don't think it does.
Brandon, tell me about your stat line.
I have 0 cool, -1 hard, -1 hot, +2 sharp, and +2 weird.
I'm
I'm
gonna
good
highlight
at
your.
doing weird.
I'm gonna highlight your weird.
Thanks. All right. Same. The person with the highest, you both have the same, so whoever I see first, Ayazama. What stat should I highlight? What stat is the most interesting for me? Aizana. Alex.
I think there might be something wrong with Alex's connection, just quickly.
Yes.
Because his camera is definitely frozen.
He died. It's tragic.
It
Lost
was a
him in the
stroke.
great podcast war.
Yes. Oh, he's messing about. Alex, if you can hear us and you're having trouble, sometimes it helps to go into the settings wheel and make sure that Google hasn't selected as your microphone and your headset default, because default is terrible, and you want to make sure that it's actually selected the name of the devices you're using.
Exactly.
And every time I open a Hangout, it always resets it from what it should be to default. So it's very annoying. Hate default. Change that, Google. Create persistent settings across Hangouts.
Well,
How about we hear from Ryan? Nope, we already heard from
I can
Ryan.
highlight Ryan's stats.
That's
We
the
can.
one. What do you got for me, Ryan?
All right, so my stat line looks like this: cool +0, hard +1, hot +2, sharp +1, and weird -1.
Hey, better?
Yep, good.
You were right. It changed the settings, but then it didn't change when I changed them.
Yeah, sometimes you have to disconnect and plug it back in. Cool. Yes, these are things we've learned over like a year of doing these. No, not even
Yeah,
a year, like 6
sorry.
months we've been doing these now, online ones. So Brandon, I'm gonna go with sharp because I wanna see you box clever.
All right.
Wait, do I still have to pick one for Brandon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Read them again? I'm sorry.
Cool +0, hard -1, hot -1, and sharp +2. My weird is already highlighted.
Yeah, I'll give you sharp.
Sweet.
And Ayazama, you have the highest history with me, so
Sweet.
Me?
Yep.
Oh wow, I'm just everyone's best friend. I'll give you hot. Is your hot done?
no.
I'll give you hot.
So I have hot and sharp.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Read that person, then seduce them.
Alright, I believe Alex needs to tell me his stat line.
Yes, I have +2 cool, +1 hard, 0 hot, +1 sharp, and -1 weird.
Hard.
Okay. And then Saffron is the person with the highest hicks.
I'm going to go with weird.
You bastard.
Open your brain, Ayasama. Open your brain.
Thank you for picking my weakest stat.
I have 2 weak stats. I love it. I'm living on life of luxury over here.
Weakness is
Wait, I
just
thought
a
your-
strength you haven't cultivated yet.
I thought your sharp was one of your better stats.
Oh, I'm speaking of my other stats.
Oh, okay.
They're all -1 or a 0.
Oh boy.
Sweet. I believe.
Do you want to do barter, or do you
I was
want to do
gonna say,
trading?
I think we got to do barter. Now, there should be a thing at the bottom of the front part of all of your sheets,
Or the back part?
or the back part, whichever one it is. That'll say like barter, and it talks about your lifestyle and how blah 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 thing you've got to do or possibly not do, depending on circumstance.
Yeah. Oh, lucky me. My establishment provides for my day-to-day living, so while I'm open for business, I need not spend barter for my lifestyle at the beginning of the session.
Me too, except it's the source instead of Ryan's establishment.
I have 6 barter to start out with, so I spent 1 because I'm rich. No more singing. That's done.
You got to keep
Done.
pulling in that barter. You can sing as much as you like, as long as it's not copyright material.
Copyright.
No, you
I
can't
have
sing a
a-
copyright song. That's obviously copyrighted.
I have a beginning of session move.
Cool. Let's do beginning of session moves, starting with Brandon, who brought them up.
Okay, sweet. Let me roll this. I have the bone feel move. So at any time, either me or you can spend my hold to have me already somewhere at a scene,
Right.
and with my tools and knowledge, and with or without any explanation why. So keep that in mind. Let me roll this. Let's see. What is it? Is it weird? Sweet, +2. So let's see. 10. A 12.
Very nice.
So that gives me hold 1 +1. So take +1 forward now. When I do it, when you put me in wherever. So
I love putting people in wherever.
yeah, put me wherever.
Ooh.
When you
Just-
want.
Just put you deep in there, deep in the thick of it.
Yep. Yeah. That's it. I don't
Sweet.
think anyone
Does
else.
anyone else have starting session moves?
No.
Yeah, I do not.
I'm such a unique child.
Clearly.
However, I can kill people by making them thirsty, so there's that.
Indeed, that's a thing. Hmm. All right, so I want each of you to tell me how, assuming that it is an average normal day on your barge town with
Damn thing.
with prostitutes and healing water fountains.
It's a spigot. Thank you very much.
How do you begin your morning? And we'll start with Ryan. How do you begin your morning, Saffron?
Probably with rehearsals.
Hmm? What's the overarching theme of the current show?
What time of year is it?
I don't know. What time of year is it?
What do you guys think? I'm gonna open that up to the table because I don't want to be responsible for.
Well, does the verdant, do the trees ever lose their leaves in the fall and winter, or is it just green all year round?
It's definitely called autumn in the Verdant, if anything, because nothing falls.
Okay.
These are evergreens. Well, not evergreen,
Gotcha.
but ever purple or whatever color they fade through when it gets in the lead up to winter.
So they change color, but the leaves don't actually fall. So there's no.
There's definitely seasons that are discernible, but it's nothing.
Not by looking at the
leaves
tree.
do not fall. Leaves fall because they get old, not because it is getting colder. All right, this cat is being annoying.
So how about it's spring?
Okay.
Ooh, a dangerous time in the Verdant.
Oh yes.
Yes.
The trees are in estrus.
Well,
And
as long
that
as we don't
pollen.
go in the woods.
You don't want to run into any bone chewers, do you?
Do they
Hey, those
coat
bone
themselves
chewers
in tree
have
pollen? I bet they do.
Oh God.
They do all sorts of crazy shit. They're the bone chewers. They are insane.
Yeah.
They willingly live in the Verdant. Like,
They're just
what?
misunderstood.
And they chew bones.
And they chew bones. They're cannibals. And, meat eaters. So yes, it is spring, Ryan.
Okay. In that case, Saffron has been exploring the theme of birthing of new dangers.
Ooh.
So there's been a lot of onstage intrigue and paranoia and
Live births.
What?
that was only able to happen once live on stage, but we made use of it to great effect. I
I
think.
bet you guys were booked out that night. Standing room only.
Right, full house.
Well,
Is it
not by the end of the
that?
night.
Or should
All
it
right.
be
So you're
Fuller
doing
House?
rehearsals. Why don't this would probably be a good time for you to tell us about the cast of your theater.
All right. So the members that I have detailed, I have to find them, are Dandelion, who is my starlet. She's cast in the lead role of every show, but she's a prima donna, and she is always like sniping people backstage, or um, you know,
Literal.
hopelessly choosing between two lovers. There's lots of backstage shenanigans happening. Dove is my leading man. He is strikingly handsome but achingly insecure. He's in need of constant reassurance about
Like most
his
men.
his talent. Um, he has he's a very sensitive soul, and I have to go out of my way to make sure that he isn't wounded by any of the other cast members.
Oh,
And
I bet.
I also have Cam, who is a new actress. She has her eye on Dandy's career. She wants to be my leading lady.
Who is Dandelion's current paramour or
Oh,
paramours?
Paramecia.
Yeah,
um,
who's Dandelion's current paramecium?
God.
Professor
Ellen.
Streptococcus? What are you doing here?
I'm just gonna
Josh.
grab another name from off the sheet.
Ethan.
I'm gonna go with a crew member, not one of the cast, named Ba.
Bar. And,
There's no
and
word I
uh,
can say.
what does Bar, as a crew member of as stage crew, what is Bar's role?
We'll say that Ba is the lighting director.
All right, make sure that you write that down somewhere,
Okay.
because I only have so much room in my
Will
infinite Google Doc.
will do.
Cool. All right, so you guys are rehearsing, and it is time. Dove is on stage doing Dove's thing, and it is time for Dandelion's entrance, and her cue goes up, and she doesn't come on stage. What do you do?
Oh my goodness. Dandelion, this is your entrance.
Dove just is holding his last position and just waiting to see what you're gonna do, because he's like, oh, maybe she's just didn't notice her cue, and she's like, maybe she's just off stage.
I'm gonna look to one of the stage hands and ask if she's in her place.
He looks at you. A small girl looks at you, shocked. Is like, I don't see her anywhere.
All right, everybody. Take 5, Dove. That was excellent, excellent work. Everyone search around, see if you can find Dandelion.
Dove is just like, are you sure it was good? Because I felt like perhaps my leg placement was a bit off. Are you sure about these makeup choices too? I'm a bit worried that they don't really send the correct message for what my character's meant to be feeling.
Darling, we've had this discussion a dozen times before. Your leg placement is excellent. If you don't like the makeup, we can certainly work and change it. I trust you implicitly. Your feeling about the character, so whatever you suggest, I'm sure it's spot on.
But you're sure about the leg placement?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Unless, do you feel like you should switch your upstage and downstage legs?
Do you think I should? Because if you think I should, I'll do it.
We'll try it next time, and we'll see how it works.
Okay. You managed to get away from Dove. Where is the first place that you would look for Dandelion? As the crew are frantically searching your refurbished pedal steamer.
Let's see. Probably her dressing room. Failing that, since she's in with Ba this week, the lighting booth.
All right. You didn't have any problems with the lighting throughout the show, so I mean, it could be the lighting booth, but it might. Then how
Yeah.
is he distracted but also still doing the lighting? Um, you go to her dressing room, and there is, who was that other girl that you mentioned?
Cam was her name.
Cam. Cam is in there, going through Dandelion's wardrobe. And you walk in, and she doesn't notice you. She's got her back to you.
Saffron very sort of pointedly clears his throat.
Cam turns around slowly and then says, "Oh, I didn't. I was just looking for a dress that I lent Saffron. Not Saffron, Dandelion. You don't believe this for a minute.
No.
Dandelion is not one to share anything."
I'm sure that Dandelion has no problems with you being in her dressing room, because she's given you explicit permission to do so, and if we were to ask her that, she would in fact confirm it.
Yeah, but it's not here, so I'll just... She leaves. She's got one of Dandelion's dresses in her hands.
If it's not here, then where are you going with that?
Oh, I just... It looked like it needed to be cleaned, so I thought I'd take it down to the boys, and they'd clean it.
Okay. Well, why don't you let me handle that? Right now, we're on the search for Dandelion. Have you seen her?
No. Why would I have seen her? I wouldn't know where her and Bar have gone, because I haven't seen them all morning. I've been busy practicing for the show finisher. That's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, I assume that she's not with Bob, because the lights have gone off without a hitch. Why don't you? Everyone else is looking around. Go make contact. See if you can find her.
She goes to walk out with that dress again.
I take the dress from her.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to put it back. It's just, you know how she walks off.
I nod and put the dress back in Dandelion's wardrobe. When
Actors.
yeah, this is
This takes me back to high school.
I have to play nanny around here constantly. Where was the last place that I saw Dandelion?
You saw her in what passes for your makeup studio earlier this morning, just before you started rehearsals.
All right. So I'll go back there and see if the makeup artist has, seen her, where she went.
What is the makeup artist's name?
I have a very limited supply of names here.
When in doubt, name them after a river, an ocean, a sea, or a car. Because those are the naming conventions of your hold.
Okay.
Buick. Beautiful Buick.
you.
Speaking of Buick, my makeup artist is named Regal.
Regal? I assume that's also a car.
Yeah, it's a model of Buick.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Regal is there, with some peacock feathers in their hair. And you see them doing some tests of different makeup designs on Dove.
Okay. Um, knock knock.
Oh, Saf! How you doing, Saf? How you doing?
Doing well, Rig. Thank you so much for helping Dove with his makeup.
Yes, he said he wanted to try some new things, so, I've been meaning to bust out some of the good stuff that we picked up
Well,
last season.
whatever my star wants. Dandelion was in this morning, correct?
Yes, everyone's been through this morning, except for yourself, obviously. You've been very busy. We haven't seen you on stage in a while. I think maybe you should pick it back up.
Well, I am comfortable wearing many hats, but it is a bit of a drain. Did you by any chance see where Dandelion went off to?
She said something about needing to speak to Bar about some lighting cues, if you know what I mean.
Saffron rolls his eyes. All right, I guess my next stop is the lighting booth.
Yes, well, good luck, finding your lost starlet.
Thank you.
Now, Dove, what if we were to try some green? I know that might clash, but I think that the contrast might work quite well as you walk away. You hear this exchange.
So yeah, I guess I'm heading up to the lighting booth and bracing myself for whatever might be waiting for me there.
You get up to the lighting booth, and in there is one of the several theater rats, I guess they're called. Children. Small children that for some reason wind up as people in your low members of your crew. Your cast and crew,
Yes, yes.
There seem to always be children about.
The extras.
Yeah.
We put them in the chorus. It's actually no, that would be really weird because
all your actors fuck
because it's
people
a
afterwards.
sex show. Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah,
Although
so
I
no,
won't judge. I'm not a kink shamer. You horrible monster.
No, we don't cater to that particular set at the theater.
Good. There's two kids in there. One's probably about maybe 12. The other one is a bit younger than that, maybe 9.
All right, I throw open the door and I say, right, where's Ba?
Him and Saffron went out. They're out on the barge.
They went out on the barge.
Yeah, out on the barge. They went to talk to some of the mercs and all that.
Right. All right, you two have been running the lighting booth?
Yeah, but I've been out there to make it doing.
All right, well, you've been doing a great job. Keep it up.
Cool. They get back to it. They light up a smoke and get back to it.
Do I have an assistant?
Do you? Do you want an assistant? Maybe one of the other guys can voice the assistant.
Yeah.
Who would you like to voice your assistant?
Brandon.
Yes.
What's my assistant's name? C. River Car.
Husqvarna?
Husqvarna. Okay.
Do you guys have that brand of chainsaw in America?
Husqvarna.
Yes.
All right. Saffron finds Husqvarna and Fauna.
What is it?
Ba and Dandelion have gone off somewhere. The kids in the lighting booth say to the barge, would you...
Children?
Yeah, the The theater rats.
You should drown them.
Drown all the rats.
Exactly.
Well, I'd sooner drown Ba at the moment. Left those two in charge. Would you be a dear and round everybody up and go over it again? I'm going over to the barge to see if I can find the pair of them.
Are they a they, he, or she?
They.
Okay. They stand up and kind of daintily sashay over to the middle and start clapping and gathering everyone up and doing what you say.
All right. Thank you. And then Saffron squares his shoulders and sets off toward the barge.
Right. Well, I have one last question for you before we switch over to someone else. When you guys are in rehearsals, do you dock with the main barge town, or do you go off to a secluded part of the lake?
I think we probably go off to a secluded part of the lake. We only dock with the barge when we have a performance. So I guess we have rowboats or paddle boats or something that we use to get back and forth.
Those little paddle swan boats, the foot the foot the foot paddle ones that you ride them like a
Yeah,
bike.
you know what? Yeah, why not?
Cool. Are you going to take one of those on your own, or are you going to bring somebody with you to help you paddle?
I'm gonna bring someone with me to help me paddle. I'll grab one of the kids.
Yeah, you get one of the kids. They're like, oh yeah, we get to go in town. I love going to town. He lights up a smoke.
I'm very concerned for all these children smoking.
Look, I know theatre people. Everyone smokes. There's a lot of clove cigarettes.
They should all be drowned.
Definitely. Alright, so which of you two wants to go next? I think maybe Alex.
Oh.
So, Alex, how do you start your day?
Well, Ayazama and the other tenders of the source have to begin the day with the ritual of the first sip.
Oh, describe to us the ritual of the first sip, Ayazama.
Well, Ayazama leads his handful of followers, and they all kneel before the large, platinum basin, and they thank the source for providing its clean water and its healing water, and there is a small, like a shower bowl that they dip in, and Ayazama takes a sip of the water and then passes it, and the 5 or 6 people there, everyone takes a sip. Not enough to really cure anyone or do anything, but it just kind of gives you a little pep in your step to start your day. Basically, it's morning coffee ritualized.
Vim, some pep.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool. Right. They all sip in turn. What do your followers wear?
They wear togas as well, but theirs are white, whereas Ayazama's is gold.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine it was very difficult to find that last can of gold spray paint.
Yes. Oh, you have no idea.
Coveted it. Alright, so after the morning sip is done, what is the next step in the rituals of those of the source?
Well, some of the people who come leave and go about their work in the dam or the barge. Some people, it's almost like a church service. So some people come for morning services, and then Ayazama tends to the source. He cleans out the basin, makes sure all the pipes are clean and the water's flowing, and he spends his day there, and then ministrating to anyone who comes during the day seeking healing or help, anything like that.
So a little bit after the you said there was a morning service right after the attendance.
Yeah, we do our first sip, and then there's like a morning service, which is pretty much the same thing, just for everyone else.
Yeah, the second sip, as it were.
Yes.
So after the second sip, someone walks in to the temple. I guess.
Yeah,
Or the reservoir, whatever word you want to use for it.
temple works.
It's someone. They're wearing a heavy, woolly cloak, pulled up. It's clearly something that has been handmade. Um, and they sort of are standing awkwardly halfway between you and the back of the room, as the room is sort of emptying of all of the churchgoers. Tell me, do you know this person?
Um, no,
All right, so there's just this person there in a cloak, sort of
I can't tell.
hanging about awkwardly. You can't quite tell who they are. You you have an air of familiarity, but you don't know who they are.
Okay,
There's something about them that strikes you as familiar.
right. So Ayazama walks over and says, "Hello, good morning."
Um, yes, hello. Do you have a title that you're referred to as?
Uh,
Like priest, father, reverend,
Canteen.
canteen? H Hello, canteen.
Is there something I can do for you?
Um, I just, I've been feeling a bit lost lately, and I thought that perhaps coming here would help me. I don't
Well,
know why.
Ayazama smiles and places his hand on their shoulder. Many have come to the source seeking guidance. It is one of the benefits of the pure water. Come.
My father used to bring me when I was younger, but I I, uh, I stopped going in recent years.
Any particular reason?
Um, I just it was difficult to fit it into my schedule. You noticed that none of your other attendants are in the room? Like they normally like walk out and walk the parishioners out,
Hmm.
uh, out the front, and then everyone shuffles off the dam, and then they normally come back in, but they haven't
Right.
come back in.
Um,
It stand out as odd.
can I see them like outside the door?
Your guard would be in here, obviously.
Yes.
I'm not gonna
Yes.
be
Nipperkin is
that.
not here.
Yes.
Uh,
If they were not here, then you'd be like, all right, well, we're gonna go outside.
um, is there any reason you stopped coming to services at the source?
Like I said, it was just hard to fit it into my day. I've been very busy in recent years.
Well, perhaps you just need a drink.
That would be quite lovely.
Like Aizama puts his hand on their shoulder and starts, "Come, join me. We shall drink together."
They still haven't taken off their hood. You're not quite sure who it is. You're pretty sure it's a woman.
Why don't you take off your cloak?
Um, I'm, very well. She pulls down a cloak, and you realize that this is Pacifica, one of the cons,
Oh,
the leaders of your community. She is con of the barge, the lake dwellers.
oh well. It is not often we see such esteemed guests here.
Like I said, my days are quite busy.
I could imagine.
Tell
Well,
me, what is, and anyone can answer this question if they would like to. What are some of Pacifica's defining character traits in the community? Like, what is she known to care about as community issues?
hmm, keeping people safe.
Hmm. Anyone else got a suggestion?
Uh, hmm, what would we need a leader to do?
Brandon,
Uh,
who has become a door, apparently.
I am a door. Or am I a jar?
he is the one who knocks,
Sorry.
or is knocked.
Yeah.
Anything else that she's known for? We don't have to answer this now. You guys can think of them later.
Maybe she's a good negotiator. She always gets good prices from the burners.
Mm-hmm. That could work. Cool. Alright, well, unless anyone else has another idea for now, we'll go with those two.
Just moving off of her being a good negotiator. Maybe she's a diplomat. She always tries to find the non-violent solution if there is one.
Is her partner Holland the opposite of that, or just not as... Like, does Holland promote violence, or is Holland just not a diplomat?
I don't think they promote violence. I would think they're just somewhat, like you said, not a diplomat. They're uncouth.
Yeah,
They,
that's right. Holland's a hard worker.
Exactly. Holland's great at keeping the dam running, not so much
I think
great.
that's so far the only thing that we really know about Holland. Holland is a hard worker. Alright, so, yes, Pacifica walks over to the basin with you and waits for you to take the first drink.
So Ayazama kneels and takes the same bowl from before and dips it in and gets like a big scoop of the floral smelling water and says another prayer. And instead of taking just a little sip, takes like a big gulp of it, like half the bowl, and then passes the other half to Pacifica.
Pacifica sort of looks at the water in the cup after seeing you to drink half of it and is not sure if she's meant to drink half of it. She's never been to a private service before. And she takes a small sip and then
chug.
She doesn't lower it. She doesn't lower it from her mouth, but it's obvious that she's stopped drinking as she looks to you to see if she's meant to drink the whole thing.
I give her like a little nod, like it's okay.
And she drinks the whole cup of the water and then hands it back to you.
Sacred water keg stand.
Thank you, Canteen. Thank you for that.
Anyone is welcome at any time. You always know that, Pacifica. And you know that what happens here in the temple is strictly between yourself and I.
It's just... I'm very worried about the mountaineers. Their raids are bringing them closer and closer to the lake, and I'm not sure if we can hold them off if they did try to attack us. And at the same time, I don't think that giving them what they want is a good idea either, because they'll just keep taking things from us. But I don't know of another way. I don't know of a way to keep them away. We can't fight a war, and I don't want us to fight a war.
Ayazama nods thoughtfully. Well, Pacifica, I can't say that I envy your position or would want to have to make the choices you make, but our elders, or our ancestors, decided that the burden of leadership should be shared among two. And I think that is something important to consider. And also know that you are not the first Khan that has stepped at my doors, but you are the most able. And I have absolute faith that you will see us through this and keep the source safe.
She smiles at you, and Ryan, when is the next time that your troupe is doing a performance? When's your next show on?
Maybe in 3 days. It's Hell Week.
Yeah.
Makes Dandelion's disappearance all the more irksome.
Yes.
What was the name of your theater again? I've forgotten. Sorry.
I think I'm gonna go with Theater On Team.
Yeah. On Teen or On Team?
On Team. It's
How about Legs Akimbo?
Legs Akimbo.
Oh my god.
Uzis everywhere. Yeah, so Pacifica says, if you could find the time, I would love for you to come to the on-team performance with us in 3 days. My partner and I, rather, the other con, we're both going to attend with our family, and it might be nice for you to come too.
I would be honored. Thank you.
The cons, for some reason, think that the theater is they treat it like it's this high performance because it does have elements of high performance, but then it's still also a brothel. So it's like, oh, we leave before the end.
Right.
That's Toyota's business, not ours.
After Pacifica leaves, and I'm assuming that's why my other followers were still outside.
Yeah, she walks to the door and you see that there's two of the hunters with spear guns standing at the door. The spear guns means that you know that they're Mers. They're from the they are from the barge.
So, Ayazama says goodbye and tells her that she can come back whenever she wants. And as he goes back in to start his daily job, those cons always need such hand-holding.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's a great way to finish that. Wonderful. So Brandon, who is playing Ozair, how does Ozair start their day?
Well, Ozera starts their day like she starts every day. She creates a list on a chalkboard thing that's up on her wall in her workshop. It has the lists of duties of her 3 workers, her skilled laborers, and they go on off and do their duty so she doesn't have to.
Nice.
She's like a foreman, essentially.
What is the name, if you're a foreman, what's the name of your work team? Is it just a number, or do you have like a special name, or?
Nope. No names.
Alright, so you just work team, whatever. Ozair's work team.
Yep.
That's how you're referred to. Alright, so what are the duties that the jobs you have today?
That's a good question. It's just everyday maintenance that would bore Ozair out of her mind that he wouldn't do. Like, my light doesn't work, my generator, I can't, that's absolutely boring. So she makes other people go do that.
I don't know how to open my fuel can. Someone put the lid on too tight.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Did you make sure it's plugged in?
Yeah.
What she does most of the time is mess with her, the quote-unquote secret part of her workshop. It's not very secret. It's just behind a door that no one goes through. Inside is a bunch of pieces that she has scavenged from the dam itself, like computer parts and screens and keyboards and just a whole bunch of electronic garbage. And it's all kind of interconnected into this white cylinder that's kind of stuck in the ground. It has these long kind of blue kind of rectangular wings on it. Her father found it a long time ago. She doesn't know what it is, but it's kind of hooked into this system, and she's trying to make it work, and it's what she does every day. Essentially, she just sits here.
I mean, to me, it sounds like it could be a satellite or some shit.
It is a satellite.
Cool. Alright, so you're presumably working on that, and you've sent your team out to do stuff, and you hear a banging on the door to your workshop.
She's kind of leaned over, hunched over this keyboard. And there's just like a screen that just has a blinking cursor with a whole bunch of random. She's just like, when they show someone hacking on a computer, it's just a whole bunch of typing. Like, she's not actually doing anything. She's just like, yeah, doing something. There's stuff going on the screen.
Gonna
Um,
download the Verdant directly
yeah,
into my mind.
Ozair kind of turns and looks and kind of squints their eyes. What?
We need you down in the fishery. We've got a problem with one of the boats.
She reaches over behind the like onto the desk that she has and pulls a magnum out, this really long magnum, and shoves it like down the front of her pants to the side.
Yep.
And swings the door open and is kind of looking out. Who does she see outside the door?
You see, Stanley. Stanley is standing there. He's like, yeah. The boss wants you to see. Wants to send me down to get you. He says, look, you were the last one that got that boat running, and now it's not working. Figure, cut out the middleman, come straight and get you. So, boss wants you up at the dock.
Kind of slip through the door and close it behind me, kind of pushing him out of the way. Okay, I guess this is my lot in life.
What is the name of the chief engineer, I guess, is the title that they have given themselves. The title that has been handed down for generations.
The chief engineer of the whole dam, or of her team, of their team, of his team?
No. I'm guessing you're a foreman. I'm guessing
Yeah.
not a very complicated organizational structure with your like 100 people. So it's like the people below you, then the person above you, and then the person, and then Holland, pretty much.
Okay.
So who is between you and Holland that is telling you to go fix this boat? Not the guy you just talked to, but the person giving the order.
My father.
Ooh.
Nice.
What's your father's name?
His name is Ethan.
Ooh, Ethan. Not named after an engineering firm or an appliance. Not one of the chosen.
Blender. Oh no.
Blend
You can call him
Tech.
Maytag.
Mm-hmm.
He's Blend Tech.
This is my mom, Black, and my father, Decker.
Those sound
No,
those sound like Sprawl characters.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Ethan is quite old. He's probably in his mid-70s.
Mm-hmm.
He had me, not him himself, obviously, but my mother.
Hey, I'm not gonna judge.
I mean, he could have had me. Yeah, sure, he had me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
He's one of the men in the community that have a womb. It happens. Sometimes a man is born with a womb.
So he had me late, so I think she's probably 30, so he was around 40.
That is like the upper limit for men with wombs to give birth.
It was a difficult birth.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
You are a miracle baby.
Are you Ethan's only surviving child?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, there's a few others of your pack around.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Other character traits of Ethan's, just so I know how to play Ethan.
Well, he's an old man, so let's go opposite old man. He's eternally optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
He's perpetually happy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of always up and annoying. Like, he's that annoyingly happy person.
I love it. I'm about it. I'm going to enjoy this. Alright. So you trudge reluctantly up to the jetty/fishery/dock.
Yes. Climbing up ladders, pulling myself up a elevator that you have to pull yourself up. Exactly. Goes up one floor, the only way to get up.
We should just rip this elevator out and put it in like a fucking ladder.
Oh, it builds the upper arm strength.
We need that upper body strength. Come on!
So
You've heard about leg day, but have you heard of arm afternoon?
Kind of step out of this strange contraption and out into the fishery area.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
It's in the middle of the dam wall, coming off of it into the lakeside. And there's a few, there's lots of cages made out of, old shopping trolleys and, drums that have been cut to have slits and stuff in them and whatever that are lowered into the water periodically and stuff to try and catch things, as well as two huge net lines that are normally dragged out by boats and then to create temporary massive cages, enclosures in the lake so that they can then try and pick the fish out of them as they close them in. And one of the line ships is just sitting there on the dock, and the other one's about halfway out and then has stopped and is also waiting for the other one because there's no point in putting just one line out. And there's a bunch of people gathered around. You see Ethan staring at the ship, at this boat, and then they turn around, they see us and say, "Oh, Oza, you came up, brilliant! This will be easy work now that you're here."
Sure.
Tell me, how's that project going? An old contraption. Can never get that thing to work.
I mean, there's symbols on the screen. I don't know what they mean.
You got the symbols to show up! I thought that they were gone forever after that lightning storm.
No. So, I don't want to be here up all day, or something like that.
Of course. My daughter Oza, she's got important stuff to do. So, it's all right. Everybody get out of here. Come on, give us some space. Give us some room. We've all got business to do. So
ignore them and go to the boat.
You go to the boat. Ethan is following you, 5 feet behind.
And I kind of turn my head back and look behind me and say, "So what exactly is the problem? It won't go forward?"
Yeah, the engine won't turn over. I'm not sure. They might have put the wrong grade biofuel in there or something. I mean, the burners.
Good.
The burners tell us you got to use the green label. Red label won't work. Red label's bad. Red label's for fire. You got to use green label. Green label for engine. Green label for go. But
See, you were smart when you told whatever,
Stanley.
Third Pacifica, whatever, I don't know what number they were, to build sails on these stupid ships just in case, we run out of fuel, but no, we still use fuel. And I kind of hop onto the boat.
Yeah, well, Cloth, you make some excellent points. So, yeah, he waits for you to start working on the engine. Do you have some kind of how broken is this engine roll?
No,
I guess you could probably just tell from looking at it, eh? You're a savvy head.
Yes, I kind of get down, on my hands and knees and kind of lean over. My hair kind of falls down. It's kind of cut short, but not short. And I am kind of leaning and touching it and kind of looking at it. And I don't really know what's.
Do you taste the fuel tank to see what the grade of biofuel is?
I'm not putting that in my mouth.
How else?
My uncle did that. Now he doesn't have a tongue.
How else will you know what grade eucalyptus oil it is?
Well, you see, Ozair has a particular sense of smell. So she takes her little
Ah.
finger and smells it. Kind of takes and then starts coughing because it's never pleasant smelling any kind of fuel, no matter if she is a wonderful mechanic or not.
Brilliant. As once you stop coughing and you realize that, yeah, they've put the wrong fuel in, so you're gonna have to drain out the engine, clean out the fuel lines, and then refill it with better fuel. Uh, you start this process, and your father says, "So, you've got anything planned for this evening at all? Seeing
As I kind of
anyone?"
dig into my coat and like pull out like a hex wrench or something and start undoing the engine, so I can pull it out. It's probably too big for me to pull out myself, but if it falls in the water, I don't know, someone else can go down and get it. Not my problem anymore.
It's so far down, dude. It's fucking damn. Where's that one scuba tank?
Sorry. We'll lower you in this cage. It's full of air, of course. You won't drown. I kind of stop what I'm doing and kind of turn around and like lean up and look at him, and I kind of squint and I sigh and I say, okay, well, you see, here's the thing. I've already finished this conversation with you, and I don't like where it's going, so let's just continue on the train that we're on. And my answer is no, no matter what the question is.
He sort of sighs. It's just your brother and his husbands were going to come over for dinner, and I thought maybe you'd want to come too, because, food is good. Food is good. Food's good. Food's
I kind
good.
of wipe something off my forehead, some sweat, and it's mixed with the nasty grease and oil and fuel from the engine, and I say, fine. And I kind of push myself up, and I look around to see if there's someone other than my aging father to help me get this engine out.
You see this massive, muscle-bound woman sort of on the half deck of the boat, untangling a net as she's got a smoke in her mouth. She's drenched in sweat as she's trying to untangle these lines. She's like
Do I
swearing
know
under
her?
her breath. You've seen her around. She's you know that she is the sibling of Bean, who is currently like the important hunter in the hold. And she was expected to be a hunter too, but for whatever reason she's like, fuck that noise, I'm gonna go live on a boat and do boat stuff. I ain't got time to be part of the damn crew, I'm gonna go live on the barge and do
Kind of
boat things.
Put my hands around my mouth and yell, hey, you.
Oh, she drops the net and walks over. Yeah, what do you want? Says she's got that smoke gripped in her teeth.
We need to take this engine down, all the way down.
Yeah, so she lifts that up off you, and she's clearly taking like more than half the weight as you two lift it together. And she plops it down on the deck as your dad walks off. And she says, "Your dad, you got troubles with your parents too, huh?" It's hard not to hear Ethan talk. He's very loud.
Yes, he is very loud. As much as I love, connecting emotionally with people, I don't want to connect emotionally with you. Perhaps at another time. I want to get this done so I can, continue with my life. No offense.
No, I get you too. I don't want to walk down like 10 flights of stairs or whatever. However many ladders we've got to go down to get this fucking engine to your workspace, I'd much prefer you to just work on it up here, but here we are. So she lifts it up and
And
starts carrying it.
Ozair kind of stops and she kind of lets go, but not like, I'm going to drop this. And she says, just a second. And she takes the net and she wraps it around the engine.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, if we use this and we borrow some rope, we can like lower this halfway down so we don't fucking have to carry it.
That's a brilliant idea. And she helps you rig up this makeshift engine sling and you lower it down to your workspace.
Hooray! Ozair is much happy.
Such happy.
The less work she has to do, the better. Physical labor.
Brilliant. So, tell me, Ryan, you don't have to answer this because I know where you will be this evening, but tell me, where will Ozair and... I keep forgetting the name of Alex's character because it's hard to remember.
Ayazama.
Where will Ozair and Ayazama be this evening, once all of the normal work is done of the day?
Ayazama is probably having dinner with Babylon.
Ooh, who's Babylon?
Oh, Babylon is his lover.
Ooh,
Yes.
oh,
He also
nice.
has Nipperkin, his guardian, and Lissa, his brewer.
Is Nipperkin at your dinner with Babylon? To make sure the
Yes.
steak isn't poisoned or whatever.
Yes. Nipperkin is pretty much always there.
Always.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
He
Allow me to
stands
turn
right
my
outside
back,
the
sir.
door. Yeah, kind of.
You've got the best bodyguard in the hold, and the
Well, because
cons
he's
are jealous.
He's a religious fanatic.
Yeah,
So of course he's the best bodyguard.
they're great. The cons wish they had religious fanatics.
Oh yeah.
Where are you and Babylon having this dinner? Is it in your private quarters or?
Yeah. Ayazama has quarters off the main room of the source of the temple. So he can always be in attendance of the source and caring for it. So he has like a small apartment off the side.
Wonderful. Who is the voice of Babylon? Is it me or is it someone else in this group? In our party?
I will leave that up to you.
Does anyone else want to voice Babylon?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so what is Babylon's demeanor, and is Babylon male or female or other?
Babylon is female.
Mm-hmm.
And she is. I want to say she's like she's not protective. She's cunning. She's kind of Lady Macbethish, but not quite. Not quite like, hey, you should go kill the Khan and take over. But
Lady Macbeth, but nicer.
yeah.
Cool. I get it. I get you. She's what's her name? The wife from Spartacus, the wife of the gladiator promoter.
Oh, I haven't seen Spartacus.
She's Lucy Lawless. She's Lucy Lawless.
Sure. Yes, that is. She is Lucy Lawless.
She's sitting there and she says, "So, everyone's been talking about how Pacifica visited you today.
Yes, well, you know how those cons are.
And always needing a guiding hand."
Yes, and a hand holding and a reassuring pat on the back that they're doing a good job.
I don't want to seem like I'm telling you how to do what you do. After all, you are the divine canteen. You provide us with the water.
I'm sorry, no, I'm laughing at the divine canteen. That's out of character.
But perhaps if you could go to Pacifica, decant some of the healing waters to her, and attend her in her own home, then you could cultivate a closer relationship with her, and that could bring her closer to the source. She, it's just
Uh, can I roll sharp to see if I can pick up that she's trying to manipulate me, or to like just go with it? Or should I
you
role
can
play it?
just either you can decide basically whether she's manipulating you or whether it is just an earnest suggestion.
Oh, okay. I think it's a little manipulative, but Ayazama looks past it and says, that it's uncommon for a canteen to go directly to the con, but it's not entirely unheard of. I know my predecessor had done it on occasion. I shall speak to Pacifica about this and see if she is amenable to it.
Have you told her yet about the invite that Pacifica extended to you, or?
Yes, because I assumed she meant that Babylon would be coming with me as well. I guess that would be an assumption, but yes, I did tell her.
So perhaps you could mention it to her when we go to theater in time. In time? That's how it's spelt.
On team.
On team. On team. That's right. On team. It's spelt in time, wasn't it? I misread it. It's spelt in time, but it is pronounced on team.
I believe it's French.
Fucking French.
Well, if you don't know how to pronounce it, then yes, it's French. Ayazama nods. Yes, well, I need to check with her and make sure that I have a +1 for that invitation. And
I don't see why you wouldn't, but
no, neither do I. I don't want to be
obviously, do people know that you and Babylon are lovers?
I don't know.
Is the Holy Canteen meant to be celibate?
No, it's Apocalypse World.
Is the Holy Canteen meant to not marry so that his love can be available to all of his followers?
Yes, he's not supposed to marry. And Babylon is not his wife.
Just your lover.
That was not one of the choices. Lover was the choice.
Okay.
Babylon, perhaps. Potter, but that didn't seem very good.
Babylon is perhaps hoping for a holy order.
Tradition.
A holy order to be made. So that she can be second canteen.
This is a slightly smaller canteen next to the first canteen, but it's still important.
Still important. Yes. It's worth 12 points, whereas the canteen's only worth half a point. Right. But if you lose the canteen, also the smaller canteen can move more spaces.
Yes. We call it the flask. Is the second in command.
Yeah.
People know.
What are you guys eating for dinner?
Well, I would imagine there's a lot of vegetables because the Verdant probably grows.
Fruit is probably more accurate.
Yeah.
A bit bitter.
Delicious.
Probably some fern stems. You have to boil fern stems 3 times before they're edible, but they're quite nutritious after you do that.
Tasty.
And you have to make sure you do not eat any of the water you boil it in, because the slime that will be filled in that boiling water is poisonous.
Well, good to know.
That's a special
and we probably, because Ayazama is the canteen, he probably gets a little bit of meat, so maybe they have a side of that rodent that I'm trying to remember the name of, but I can't right now because I accidentally closed the dock.
I shall look in the dock. I think you're thinking of like the possum-sized one, right?
Yeah, the possum thing.
Nope, I'm thinking of the shell.
Pisk.
Pisk, yes, a pisk.
Yes. And they have a side of pisk, yeah.
A plate full of pisk.
They got a plate of pisk and fruit.
Episcopalian fruit.
Thrice boiled pine needles.
It is truly the apocalypse.
Yes.
Oh man, pine needles. Oh, you can actually make a tea out of pine needles, but you
Yeah.
have to get them fresh off the tree. But you can make a.
Ooh.
It's quite nice, apparently.
Actually, because Ayazama is the canteen, he gets to boil his stems in water from the source, which makes them a little more delicious.
Oh, that's
Not
right. You said
much,
plain stems.
just slightly.
But they always said don't get high on your own supply. So
Being canteen is always about getting high on your own supply.
Nice.
That's why he has so many scars from when he's been healed by the water for every time he's gotten shot and stabbed and whatnot.
Nice. So Ryan, Saffron has been searching the town all fucking afternoon, trying to find Dandelion and her bay.
just kill them when you find them.
So when you do finally find them, just after the sun has set, where are they? On the barge or otherwise?
Mm,
And you can make up a place.
um. Hmm. How large is the barge? Is it?
It's probably a very long one, like the kind they have. I know that they have these really, really, really long barges that go up like the Mississippi in America.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably one like that, as opposed to like a garbage barge, for example, which is a bit smaller. There's like this
All right.
huge one that can have like 4 or 5 like similar in size to, for those listening, a concrete moving barge. Barges used for shipping concrete will have like 4 or 5 vats on them that can have stuff in them. So it's like maybe you could fit 2 decent sized modern homes on this barge easy. Um, So there's a lot of people that live there in shacks and stuff.
We built it 5 stories high. Never will fall over. It's not top heavy at all.
The lake is placid. It'll be fine.
And it sank into the swamp, so I built a second one.
We built a second barge. That burnt down, then fell over into the lake.
Now
All
there's just a pile of which
Yeah.
So he finds, Saffron
There's-
finds them
There's
in.
probably also like boats like smallish boats and yachts and stuff lashed to the sides of the barge. And those might be like luxury home equivalents.
Ooh.
All right. So Saffron finds them in. It's sort of a combination bar restaurant, but more emphasis on the bar. It is, we'll say, it's the only reliable supply of fermented drink on the barge, made out of 2 shipping containers that have been sort of welded together.
Side by side or on top of one another?
Side by side. And there are kind of, makeshift tables and chairs and stuff just, built out of whatever could be scrounged when the apocalypse hit, when the Verdant bloomed, as it were. So they are probably very drunk at this point if they've been boozing all day.
Yeah, you see, Saffron sees Dandelion up towards the back corner, and there's a few people gathered around, and it would appear that everyone is buying her drinks.
in that case, Saffron walks up. What do we use? What do we use for currency, or is there currency, or do we just barter?
Do you guys have any input on that?
Um, Probably just barter.
Yes.
What do people when they come to
Barter.
your theater, Ryan? What do Saffron? What do they use primarily to pay entry and also for private performances?
I would say probably food and drink. Otherwise, useful items. Um, Sometimes we'll put the word out that we need a particular thing, and anyone who has that particular thing gets an invitation.
Yeah, like, oh, we need a new steering system for the ship, and like the day before the performance, like an entire work team from the dam comes. I
Right.
was like, hey, we thought we might install a, and then we'll come by tomorrow. That sound good?
Yeah. People just line up with engine parts and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say that like workers that are gonna trade you in like labor or whatever, they come in with like their old license plates and any sort of metal. They're old license plates off cars and bikes and whatever, and they like trade you them. And one of these plates represents one day of labor, and they're often traded around by the dam workers and stuff.
All right.
And
Um,
then food, drink, and whatever.
so let's say I have maybe like a little satchel with one of those in it.
Yeah,
So I
with
take
like bike license plates, because bike license plates are a bit smaller.
yeah. So I take one out and I lay it on the bar and I say the next one's on me, and I look over at Dandelion meaningfully.
She sort of smiles and laughs. The whole bar erupts as they're like, "Woo! Yeah, Saffron!" Everyone's very, very drunk. It's been a hard day. It's prime fishing season, apparently.
And Miss Dandelion will enjoy her drink on the go.
Dandelion downs her drink and then walks over to you, and her paramour follows. Um, and Dandelion's like, we just needed to get away from it all, she says as she stands there at the bar with you.
You must be punished.
You can get away from it all when we don't have a performance to rehearse.
There's always a performance to rehearse, Safi. If it's not the spring performance, it's the summer performance. And if it's not the summer performance, it's the fucking whatever. And like, she is making a scene.
You play
Look.
drunk very well.
It's the orange juice.
It's that yellow water, man. Just sells it.
Yeah.
All right, look. Obviously, we've wasted an entire day. You've had your escape. Now it's time to get back to work, the both of you.
Yeah. What's her paramour's name again?
Ba, I think
Ba,
he said.
yeah.
Yes, Ba
Ba
is the lighting
says-
director.
Says, yeah. Wait. And looks at the night sky. Is like, what day is it again? It's been here a long time.
What day is it? It's 3 days before our big opening night,
Yeah.
and you
I know
have.
I know we've got like rehearsals and stuff, but I actually have a dinner I've got to go to. My husband's are like, shit. And he like turns to Dan. It's like, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, good. And sorry, Big S, but I mean, I can't miss this dinner. I'm
Well,
already in shit.
you've already missed rehearsal, so we'll talk about this in the morning.
Yeah, I'm real sorry. I just, Dandelion, she's quite a lady, and he sprints off towards one of the taxi boats that's going to take him back to the dam.
One of the lift boats, one of
Yeah,
the
little
Uber boats
yeah,
with the
U
little mustache
boats.
on.
The U-boats.
Yes, the
The
U-boats.
U-boats, the Zeus boats. I believe Zeus is one in a TV show, a fake Uber called Zeus. Yeah. So, Ozair, you
Yes.
have this annoying dinner to go to with your father, Ethan, and one of your brothers and his husbands.
Uh-huh.
Of course I do.
hmm Now, to clarify, your brother is not Bar, but perhaps one
No,
of his husbands is. Um, I
Oh.
don't yet have a name for your brother.
he doesn't need one.
Yeah, cool. His brother.
Yep.
He was the second son born, so they called him brother.
Yep.
That's a product as well. There's a phone company called Brother, I think.
Where does my father live exactly?
Probably somewhere on the dam.
Okay. So
He
I
probably has
take
the
the
prime house.
I take the longest route or route, whichever you prefer, to get there.
Yeah,
I do not.
you go out the exit on the floodway at the bottom of the dam and walk up the staircase that goes along the outer wall.
Of course. What a
It's like a,
nice night for a walk.
it's like an hour-long walk. There's a few people that live here. They've got it's like maybe two or three
Get your own
that
there.
have beds that hang off the railing. It's not like a poor thing. It's just they wanted to live here. They're kind of thrill seekers. They're
They
kind of
wanted
people that.
to live on a rusty old staircase attached to a dam that can fall at any time.
They're the
Real
kind
Yeah,
of people who see a steep vertical wall and think, I want to live on that.
they're the kind of people
Totally.
that see an engine get dropped into a deep dam and go, "I'll do it. I'll go. I'll swim." How much? How much air's in that scuba tank? 30 minutes of air. Oh yeah, it's gonna be like a 32-minute dive. Yeah, I'll do it.
That's perfect.
That's right.
Just hold my breath.
So,
Cool.
yes.
Taking this long walk.
Yes.
There's a Green Day song that we could play here.
I reach my father's humble home as
You
we
see
head
that
into here.
you see a little bit of smoke coming out of the roof, and you smell the faint smell of burning biodiesel.
Good.
Oh.
I have no pretense to knock or anything, as this is my former home, and I enter.
Yep, you enter, and you see your brother, standing off to the side with one of his husbands, who you recognize as he works at On Team, the theater. I don't remember what he does there, but he looks drunk. And they're sort of having a hushed argument. They're like whisper yelling at one another, as your brother's other two husbands are sitting down with Ethan, and one of them is quite tall, and the other one is a very small man, and they're talking about how work on the dam is going, and Ethan's like saying, "Oh yeah, it's going great," and how have you guys been doing with the hunting? And they're like, "Oh yeah, hunting's been rough." But it's picking up. Spring's back. You just gotta watch out for
Before
razorbacks.
Before anyone can perhaps spot Ozair, she closes the door, sighs heavily, considers leaving.
A good choice.
Runs through every permutation she can kind of think of. Sees her father's sad, disappointed face. And mumbles something about it not being worth dealing with this tomorrow. So she opens the door and goes inside, closing it loudly behind her, slamming the door.
Ethan stands up and is like, "Oh, Jose, you've arrived! We can have dinner! Brilliant! We haven't been waiting long, it's fine. Sit down anywhere. Take a seat." How'd you go? Did you get that engine working?
I don't know.
You don't know? Cool, you don't know. That's good. That's fine. We don't need to eat fish. It's cool. So, your brother's partners brought something for us, and which of the strange-ass fucking animals are you eating tonight? We have Muz, Pisk, Shelk, Razbak, although Razbak doesn't taste great. It's more of a status symbol, because it's very hard to kill. Fastodon, and Boarcrop.
Oh my god. I have no idea. Ozair doesn't care. Ozair doesn't look, or Ozair just eats it.
Brilliant. Do you guys have do you others who are...
I'm kind of leaning towards Fastodon.
So is I. It's braised Fastodon.
Ooh,
Brilliant.
great.
Brandon, you're the tall husband. Tell me about this Fastodon that you hunted. Your tall husband. Tall husband who is a hunter. Short husband is also a hunter. The other two are not.
Husband, tall husband.
Tall husband, short husband, bar, and brother.
Their names are Tall Husband and Short Husband?
For now. It's their cute,
okay.
couple name.
Oh, okay.
I don't like any of these people.
Ozair doesn't remember their names, so that's what their names are in her mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
She remembers Bar because he, just said his name or something. Someone said his name recently.
Kind of look at my family, quote unquote, as I'm eating this weird meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of push back in the small eating area that my father has that could barely fit my mother and my family in it in the first place. But with 4 husbands, it's okay. But
it's actually less siblings than you have.
yes, I kind of stand up. Ozair is one of those people that picks when they eat.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't eat very much, doesn't need to eat very much.
It's how you maintain that ambiguous figure.
That's right.
That girlish figure.
My smallish, weird figure. Look, it's because I don't eat any of your strange animals.
What's the matter? You don't like Fastodon?
It's not good enough for you?
Lean my chair, or my box, perhaps, back.
Your apple box. No one remembers what an apple is. It's like a little music thing.
And I look to my father. I'm sure he is smiling and enjoying himself, surrounded by 2 of his children and 1 of his sons' multiple husbands.
He's telling a story about how when he was younger he apprenticed with the hunters, but it was rough. I was back in the days when they went on night hunts, which sounds horrifying because bone chewers.
Everyone knows how well they can see in the dark.
Well, Ozair, like, as before her father can continue this story, and she kills herself during the meal for having to hear it for the 10,000th time.
Yep.
She says, what do you all... And she kind of looks at her hunting brother-in-laws and says, what do you think about new weaponry?
Tall husband looks shocked. Short husband is like, oh god, not this again. Because, like, it has been a topic of contention amongst the hunters for decades. And the other, everyone else in the room is just like, I don't know. And he's just like, well, I mean, new weapons would be great. Everyone would love new weapons, but where are we going to get them from? We can't. We don't have the stamp presses needed to press new gun parts. So we'd have to. I mean, we could make shitty pipe guns, but no one. That's no better than a bow. And where are we gonna get the bullets? Where are we gonna get the chemicals for the bullets? You're gonna need all them powders.
I ignore my father,
Mm-hmm.
as I do, and I turn to tall husband, and I look at short husband, and I say, would it be useful to have... No, forget it. It's not important.
Short husband looks to tall husband, and then says, "Well, finish your thought. Finish your thought, Ozair. I'd like to hear." And it looks to tall husband, who's like, "How dare you? How dare you encourage this dissent?" Short husband's like, "You know what? I want to hear what Ozair has to say. I want to hear Ozair's ideas on new hunting weapons, so that we don't have to. Maybe we won't have to get as close to muzzes, Muzzes are not the friendliest of creatures. Everyone's like, ooh, muzz meat's delicious, and there's so much meat on them. But you know how much work it takes to take one down? And if you run into a bull muzz, well, you can fucking forget about the day.
What if we made some kind of weapon that shot a spear out of it? Like a bow, but like automatic.
Tall husband is having none of this. He says, look, we can't go introducing and risking these new weapon designs out in the field, Hunters we've been doing it this way for years. It works. It's a tried and tested method. It's traditional. The bow is traditional. You can't do away with 100 years of tradition because someone is worried about getting close to a buzz.
Shut up. You talk too much. I turn to my brother and say, why are you still with him? He never shuts up. He's just so irritating. And I stand up and I push my plate
just
across,
drops open.
and I say, Father, thank you for the meal. The rest of you, excluding my brother, go fuck yourself. And I leave.
Brilliant.
And I go and look for one of my laborers.
She's such a people person.
Yeah.
Cool. I love it. That was some good roleplay. Which of your laborers finds the stars most enchanting?
My cousin, Pamming, she is a she. She is
Good to know.
like 5 years younger than me. She's white, black hair, and I'm going to find her.
Cool. So at the ends of the dam wall, there's these sort of concrete, bricky, boxy arch things. They're not arches, they don't curve, but that's effectively what they are. And just beyond them, there's like these curving barricades of makeshift, debris and wire and some gates. And like that's where when you bring people in, that's where they come in and stuff. And and on top of one of the concrete arches, you can see Pamming laying down up there, staring up into the moonless sky.
Kind of climb up.
There's
You
these
find her.
rough hewn handholds and footholds cut into the concrete that have been worn in from decades of use by various scouts and whatever that have been told to go up the tower. Say the tower, it's not really much of a tower.
The wizard's tower.
Wizard!
And I kind of Pamming.
Yeah?
Are you wanting to do something tomorrow? Something better than doing the normal stuff that I make you do every day?
Yeah, I mean,
All right, and I kind of like look at the sky. I'm like, come earlier before you normally come in.
okay. I can, yeah. I had to get up a bit before. Although if I didn't eat, if I just came straight there instead of eating, I could probably. Should I not eat?
Just do whatever. Just come early.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you some stories about the stars?
No, and I start climbing back down.
Okay.
Find yourself someone to tell stories to. Not me.
Okay. Bye. Bye. Jose.
And that's the one you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one she likes. Jesus Christ.
The massive asshole.
As you get down the stairs, and Saffron, as you just get back to your ship, your theater, and it's right there in the chat somewhere. Ayazami, just as you are getting ready to go to bed with Babylon, you all hear from the western edge of the lake, near one of the dam walls, you hear this sort of howler monkey squeaking screech of primates screaming into the empty void of night. Now it's a moonless night, so you kind of knew this was coming, but it's just this howling, primitive, roaring, screeching just starts, and it's like hundreds of. It sounds like hundreds of voices in the worst, most out of tune chorus you've ever heard, just screeching. And it goes on, and it rises and falls in crescendos and whatnot for like an hour. Have any of you at any time served as a guard or a hunter or anything?
No. Not Ayazama, anyway.
Alright.
Nipperkin did.
Nipperkin did. So Nipperkin would turn. You see him open the door. It says, "This is the bone chewers are here tonight. So everyone should stay indoors, especially with us being on the damn wall. I'll keep an eye out. I'm gonna go tell the others, the other attendants. And he looks. Is there a window in your room?
I figure there's probably not. I mean, like, it's the quarters. I figure it's basically the where the source is basically just a room that collects water. So it's like one big open room, and there's a room off of that used to be some sort of like machine closet or storage area that just got transformed into an apartment. So when I said there's a kitchen, I mean like there's an alcove that has some sort of cooking like stove on it, and then there's a bed and like a desk or table or something.
There's a small bowl full of burning tree sap.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what the
Yeah.
kitchen is.
Yeah, basically with like a grill on top of a griddle on top of it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, he tells you that. He's like, I'm gonna go outside, make sure that everything's fine, and then I'm gonna come back in and we're gonna bolt the doors. So
Be careful, Nipperkin.
indeed, make sure you bolt your door after I leave. He walks
Yes.
out. You presumably bolt the door.
Oh yes.
The mood is killed. You will probably be awake all night thinking about how the horrifying cannibals are just a
Like
few hundred
5
meters
feet
away.
down.
Yeah. It's a good place for the source, but
yeah.
it's real close.
We did not choose where the source was. The source chose itself, or something.
Brandon, how does Ozair deal with the screaming that echoes through the surroundings?
Ozair does what Ozair does, which is she lived here her whole life, like most people. I mean, you get used to screaming and yelling in a building after a while, so
Yep.
you get used to cannibalistic monsters after a while.
Yeah, indeed. You know, it's just a Tuesday.
And
Or
the lower you
a
go
moonless
down,
night, to be more accurate.
yeah, the lower you go down, the further you go down in the dam to where her workshop is, you can barely hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Not that she wants to hear anything anyways.
Is there any other quarters, like workshops or living areas, near your workshop? Like either on the same level or the level above it?
I think her, how I'm imagining it is her workshop is right outside of one of the generators, the last one.
Mhm.
So if you go out, so the rest of that space that's beyond to the to the wall or whatever, to the other side, from one side of the dam to the other, is people. It's free living space and workshops and stuff. There's people who live down in the bottom because you don't need a ton of area to, to workshop when you're not like producing anything. If all you're doing is fixing stuff,
Yeah.
you don't need like a huge workshop area. And only
So-
one of the generators still,
Does anything. So down the hall from you in whatever down the way is in one of the large common sleeping rooms. You hear some children start crying, and then you hear like a bunch of people talking, and then you hear like drums and music start playing, like drums and flutes and some kind of stringed instrument of some description. And that just, I mean, it's not a bad tune, but the goal is to be loud, so that you can't hear what remains of the screaming. Or like the hunters and guards running up and down the outer wall on the scaffold that runs down the air side of the dam wall. You know, stuff like that. You know, you want to not think about what could be going on.
She kind of stands there at the kind of entrance to her workshop, and she looks at the generator, at the hydroelectric turbine, kind of closes her eyes, and I would like to open my brain to the maelstrom.
Ooh, this will be interesting. I've
Yes.
never done or seen this done before, really.
So
So,
the way her father described this feeling is the way his father described this feeling, and the way his father described this feeling by the person who told them what the turbine sounded like when it was running. And so that's
mhm.
the sound she imagines, this loud, droning roar. And so she kind of closes her eyes, kind of leans back against the concrete, and it's like her whole self, her whole sense of self is just she hears this loud roaring drone that washes out the rest of her senses, and hopefully I don't fail this roll.
Let's see.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Nice.
that is 11.
An 11. Nice. So, what is the result for an 11?
Uh, you give me good detail, so I want to know kind of what's going on outside, and uh, in what way in Ozer's capabilities could she potentially in the future fix this?
Yep. So, outside, as you're sort of thinking about the droning of the generator, and your mind sort of wanders, and something that is not quite your imagination takes hold. You see a bunch of naked or almost naked people, really gaunt with bloody teeth, and like snapped fingernails, scarred and bleeding bodies, um, sort of staring at. It seems really strange to you. It's not. It's not the wilderness. It's the absence of wilderness. There's water there, and water's good because you can drink water and it keeps you from dying. But there's something wrong with the water. There's something in it, or about it, and you know that there's food there, and that the food has done something to the water. So you want to get at the food and the water, and you hate everything that is surrounding you, but you hate that place more. And so you and all these other torn, bleeding figures start screeching, and then you charge down towards this wall, and then you feel a sharp pain in your chest as one of the food has shot something at you, and there's this tree sticking out of your chest, and you grab it and you try to pull it out, and when you pull it out, all this blood shoots out, and then you start screaming and howling, and then you fall over, and you think, God damn it, still hungry. And you realize that if you guys had better lighting, it might drive them away. The bone chewers are most active on a moonless night when it is darkest. They prefer to attack in the dark. Um, and so perhaps if you had big, huge spotlights, you could drive them away from your edge. At the very least, it would make it easier to spot them, and therefore easier to place arrows in their chests.
As you kind of have the quote unquote camera shot of this kind of crazed eyes of this cannibalistic person, it kind of morphs into Ozer's eyes that are like wide as they kind of snap open,
Mm-hmm.
and she reaches into her pocket and pulls out this long white piece of chalk, and she turns and runs into her workshop, and there's this huge board, just this huge blackboard, and she wipes all of it away, just wiping it away, and she just writes in huge letters, "Light." And she's looking around the workshop and just trying to find where she can start.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Do you want to? There's a move I think that you could also use there.
Yeah.
I
Let's
don't
see.
think it has a roll, does it? It just
No.
goes.
Yeah. When I'm in my workshop and I'm dedicating myself to making a thing or getting to the bottom of some shit,
Mm-hmm.
decide what and tell the MC. And then you say, sure, no problem, and you tell me what it's going
And
to take.
yeah, there's a list there,
Yep.
which I shall open your character sheet. I opened the wrong one, but that should be fine because I should be able to just scroll through this list to find the
The
Savvy
savvy
Head.
head.
Driver, Gunlugger, Hocus,
Somewhere in there.
Maestro D, Quarantine, Savvy Head.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
on
on
the
the second
second
page.
page under Workspace.
Yep.
So you sure no, but, and then two, four of the following things. Alright, so you want to rig up some kind of heavy-duty lighting system, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So it's gonna take weeks. Primarily because you will definitely need to get that generator running at way higher efficiency. It's currently not putting out nearly enough power for what you need, but you should be able to get it to go. Um,
I don't know if it's working at all. I can't
and in
remember.
order to do that, you are going to need the entire community's help. You're going to need to convince them that this is worthwhile pouring resources into and putting like at least the majority of the work teams onto this task. It can't be done alone. And lastly, presumably on here there's like you need a specific material. Is there something like that on here?
Um,
You're going to have to add blank to your workplace. I guess you could use it'll cost a fuck ton of jingle, but that's not. Ah, that's what it is. You're going to have to expose yourself to serious danger. Yeah. You don't have the kind of lights you need. And you need to find the kind of lights you need, which probably means sending someone out of the hold or going out of the hold yourself. And if you send someone, are they going to know what you need as well as you would know what you need? So those are the four things. Danger, you need everyone's help, it's going to take weeks, and you need to fix the generator.
that generator though.
That generator, though. And fixing the generator will have, a bonus in that you need more power, but it's not going to take all the power.
Of course not. It's a generator that is for an entire city
Yeah. So,
or a small town.
small town,
So
sometimes
we'll power a dozen light bulbs and then use the extra for something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
for
dozen.
electroshock therapy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you need to. Yeah, that'll be great. That's what you need. And lastly, Saffron. Your
Yes.
ship is floating away from the barge and therefore could very well be near the coast. Not like so close that something could swim out and grab you, but close enough that it's troubling as the screaming and the howling starts. And then you hear the shouting of the hunters on land as they're like, "Well, we need to get down to the water, grab that thing, and that over there, and do the stuff." What do you do as
Um,
everyone in your theater is trying to put on a brave face?
I assume if this is a regular thing, we have a battle plan, like we have rehearsed positions. We at least everyone in the cast and crew should know where their weapons are hidden. So I call for everybody to assume their ready positions, which means find your weapon and find your way out on deck in case we get boarded by something. And I'm going to have, I'll say my assistant pilots the steamboat. I'm looking up her name right now.
I
Or
remember if
their
we
name.
gave Brandon's
Husqvarna.
Husqvarna.
Husqvarna, that's right, Husqvarna.
I give them the signal to take us, to the center of the reservoir, or at least away from shore.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah. When you start heading towards there, you see a yacht that is, I say a yacht. It's one of the few sailboats, but it also has a motor. And it has
See?
you recognize it as that's the con's home basically, and they have unmoored from the barge at the insistence of their protectors. And drifted to the middle of the reservoir for national security reasons.
Hmm.
Crash into them for national security reasons.
Mhm.
Take over.
Oh no, it's a rogue wave! Or is it a rouge wave?
Sorry.
And you guys endure the evening, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
Very stoically.
Sorry.
Some of the theater children
Philosophizing.
come to you who don't really have roles, and they're like, we're really, it's obvious to you that these children are freaked the fuck out. You know, some of them
Smoke a
are
cigarette.
putting on brave face. Yeah, they're double fisted it with cigarettes. You know, they've got beer hats on.
Chain smoking kids. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's truly the apocalypse because cigarettes are stupidly abundant, but education is not. I've seen Waterworld. How do they still have cigarettes? That's like 2,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
Well, plants is one thing we have an overabundance of, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming
it's not tobacco. It's some kind of
we
weird
just
super
tried
plant.
we just tried different things. Is that all right to smoke? Nope, that killed him. All right, we won't smoke that one anymore.
The elders found a way.
Of course. That was what the first ancestors did. All right, we set up his house. Now we need to find something to smoke.
So it's weird leaf that has the properties of. It's twice as addictive as marijuana. To quote The Simpsons. So how do you deal with these children?
Well, I'm a playwright and a storyteller, so I gather them together, and I start telling them a story. I will start.
Perhaps there's some
I'll
kind of hero character in the Hold's past.
one of the former Khans who turned the bone chewers out of the dam.
Some kind of Shaka Khan character? No.
Shaka Khan.
Armed only with a spear.
And his own cunning.
Yes, the former Khan faced down an army of the bone chewers.
The Genghis Khan.
I love that Bond film.
One by one, they came at him, and he bested each of them in turn. And when the light touched the dam again, the bodies littered the spillway.
Nice. I like it. Does this con have a name? Is this con named after? Is this con of the dam or of the lake?
You know what? It was the Khan of the lake, but she was defending, or he was defending, because we said he already. He was defending the dam from invading bone chewers.
Perhaps this is what united the two communities together.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, we
The
are safe
first
here on
con.
our barge, but we can't leave them there defenseless. We've got to help them.
That
sounds
like
he
some
was the
Mer
first con.
propaganda.
Maybe that's
That does sound like mer propaganda. Your people tell a different story of how the bone chewers swam onto the barge.
Right. Well,
And the
I'm a
great
mer. So
Holden swam out there to defend them with his auto crossbow.
Right.
I'm a mer, so this is the version I tell.
Yeah, what is the name of this ancient warrior con? So let's see. What are some great rivers or seas?
Amazon.
Could be Amazon. They could have been called Amazon. They could have been Ariel. Ariel is a name of a sea.
The Tigris and Euphrates. Oh, I died justly.
Yes, Tigris.
Nile.
I like
Tiber.
Tigris.
Could be Tiber. Tiber's a
Tiber
river.
could be a good one.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Just
I was
yellow.
Yellow. What is with all the yellow in this game?
Oh, that's right. We've already got the queen. Yeah.
You've got the yellow kin because you guys were like, ooh, sulfur mine, and they paint themselves with the sulfur. And then
That's
I'm like,
what they're
okay,
doing.
well they need a ruler, so let's go with the yellow queen. No, that's a bit on the nose. So Saffron Queen. Oh, Ryan's character's name's Saffron. All right, Canary. Yeah, that doesn't sound
Yeah.
right. Amber.
Amber.
Amber Pope. Oh, wait, different game.
Go with Tiber.
Tiber. All right.
Tiber
Tiber
the
armed.
mer savior, the first Khan of the lake.
He united them.
Sure,
Or
sure.
she. Oh yeah, that's what happened.
I feel like it's the same story if you're on the dam or the lake, except they just flip who needed saving and who needed helping. Like
Yeah.
it's the same propaganda story, and so people just call him the first Khan. But
Yeah.
but if you're just on the barge, you're like, well, you really know that it was a mer. And then if you're on the dam, you're like, well, you know it was a dammer, right? But no one really.
Yeah, it was. Everyone knows it was Holden. Everyone knows it was Chrysler.
I mean, Chrysler did he die and then was resurrected?
Oh, that would actually be kind of fitting. Gotta
In
put
the
that
waters
down.
of the source.
Legendary figures. Cool.
Chrysler.
Well, I think that's probably a good place to end the run. I think I've got enough to start our campaign. I think we do. There's an end of session move, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is
Yeah.
there anything you think I missed, Brandon, seeing as you are the more experienced
No.
World Jim?
No, nothing.
Cool. All right, let's do that end of session move. Who has it up?
I've got it
Choose a
here.
character. Oh, okay, you go.
Okay. At the end of session, choose a character who knows you better than they used to. If there's more than one, choose one at your whim. Tell that player to add +1 to their history with you on their sheet. If that brings them to history +4, they reset to history +1 and therefore mark experience. If no one knows you better, choose a character who doesn't know you as well as they thought, or choose a character at your whim. Tell that player to take -1 to their history with you on their sheet. If this brings them to history -3, they reset to history 0 and therefore mark experience.
Jeez Louise.
Yep.
We didn't have much character interact with each other this time.
Yeah, I would say that you guys heard a lot of these stories from one another. Like, you would have heard that Pacifica apparently went to visit the water shrine. Ooh, gossip. There was apparently Ethan's children have been having some strife in their marriage. Did you hear that? Did you hear that brother's husband has been cheating on him with Dandelion? You know.
Gotcha.
That's why you should just have one man, because that man's gonna cheat on you.
So why get your heart broken more than once?
That's right.
Indeed.
I have 3 of them, or 4 of them. How many ever random husbands he has?
There are 4 husbands in the relationship, so each person has 3 husbands.
Right.
That's what it is.
And one of those husbands is Ozer's brother.
Mm-hmm. Brother.
Does everyone just call them the 4 husbands?
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to talk about them as a group. Oh, the husbands.
Yeah.
Poor
There's
husbands are looking for the
there's one of those types of marriages in every generation. You know.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give +1 Hicks to Ozair because I like his family drama. Once there's enough family drama, eventually someone's going to come seek guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Oh, I call it Hicks because it's HX. That's just
Yeah.
me.
No.
Yeah.
For the listeners who maybe can't see the sheet and wonder what the hell I'm doing.
It is a strange way to abbreviate history.
Yes.
It's like RX is prescription, HX is history. All right, I'm also going to give mine to Ozair because I feel like the interaction between her and Ba and her, seeing Ba drunk probably made her wonder what's going on with Saffron and the boat and the theater because she knows that Ba runs with that crowd.
Saffron, take +1 because you're fucking up my family with your goddamn gross
Sex show.
people. Yes.
At the next town meeting, Jose's going to be siding with B, and he's going to be like, yeah, we're going to get rid of that bordello. It's making me have to go to family dinners.
Yell at everyone.
And they're more awkward than usual.
And I hate it.
Especially since I told them all to fuck off and shut up. Now we eat in silence. It's worse than before.
But it's totally not my fault. It's definitely that Saffron character.
Sorry.
Look at him. He's corrupting the moral fiber of the youth. He's surrounded by a cloud of smoke.
He wears a leather jacket.
Jose's not going to be happy to have to get the entire community to help them. Ugh.
Yep.
The
I think that's gonna be
community.
that is going to be a good first proper run. The first session is kind of different.
Well, you know who would be helpful in rousing the community together? The water bearer.
Or
Get the water
arousing the community.
Yes.
Or both.
Someone
Well-
who knows how to communicate a message through art and possibly sex afterwards.
Is that how you end all of your speeches? Well, thank you all for attending this conference on sustainability. Now, if you will join me in the other room for the orgy.
Now, if you would all line up and take a rubber. If you're gonna drink, I'd rather you did it here in my theater. Where it's safe.
Where it's safe when I put mats down on the floor and tarps.
All right,
Some
brilliant.
towels and
So we won't be playing again till the 26th or whatever the date is for you in Maryland. Oh no, it is the 26th for you. It'll be the 27th for me because Alex has a thing he needs to do next weekend. Next week rather, which is
Yes.
fine. It's all right. This will be normally a weekly game, but if something comes up and you can't make it, just let us know beforehand and we'll work something out. We'll either change it to another day, or just postpone that week, whichever we can make work.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So I think that's where we're going to end it now. For those of you listening, farewell from the past. I'm Raymond.